Okay, so we have come pretty much to an end of the official part of our last few days, and we will now have Michał Szpądrowski, who is our colleague from Poland, so we actually live in the same city, and he will deliver the closing remarks. I'll just say a few words about Michał. So he is the Secretary General of the European Youth Council, and he's also working very closely with the Ministry of the Internal Affairs in Poland. And also he's a city council member in Warsaw. So please a big round of applause for Michał.
Thank you. It's always very tough to deliver the closing remarks, as after a few intensive days everybody is a little bit tired and wants to go home. So how our American friends teach us, it's good at this moment to start with something that will a little bit less the tension. So as you know, Russian Federation is mobilizing its citizens. I'm not sure if they are mobilizing them to the army. They are mostly mobilizing them to flee the country. This is for the first time in the history when somebody is running not from the country that is being attacked, but from on the attacker side. And I've seen on Twitter that some sort of a joke, it might have been a Reagan-style joke if we would be during the Reagan's presidency, that a few days ago, the patriarch of the Muscovy Orthodox Church, Cyril, he said in one of his remarks that everybody who is being mobilized and will die in the war will directly go to heaven. Hearing that, heaven has applied for full NATO membership. So this is how it is. I'm very happy that we can be here as a conservative family and that we can learn how to deliver our message, how to pass it on to the people that live in our countries. It has been a few days where you learned a lot, not only about practical side of the politics, so our friends from Leadership Institute who are delivering some tools, as Ron said in his first presentation, how to fight with socialism and be able to win. But you also heard a lot about philosophical side of our arguments against the left, against the oppression of freedom. And you also heard today from our Hungarian friends about how the mostly left uses the human rights and how we should fight on these fields. And one of the most important things, it's very common for Professor Legutko from Poland to deliver this during conferences, and few of our friends who were on New Direction event in Tallinn know about that, is that one of the most important fights is on the level of language. So don't fall into their traps. So, for example, when our Hungarian friends were speaking today about the human rights, it's one of the best tools that the left has. They name everything a human right. I have a human right to speak at the podium with the microphone. And if somebody is being denied that, it means that the Center for the Renewal of Culture is breaking human rights in Croatia. Falling into the traps of debate that the only democracy is the liberal democracy, that everything is human rights. It's sometimes the thing that, unfortunately, the conservative, the right side, is falling, the trap that the right side is falling into. We live in interesting times indeed, as one of the famous quotes from the islands, British Islands come. And unfortunately, we live in good times, but with weak leaders. There is this circle of life, political life and economic life of societies, that the good times create weak men. The weak men create bad times. Bad times create strong leaders, and strong leaders create good times. So right now we were in the good times, but unfortunately in the majority of the European countries, Western European countries especially, but around the world, this Western world, so-called Western world, we created weak leaders. And these weak leaders are not conservative leaders. Some of them are, But vast majority of weak leaders are the leftists, the liberals, the people who are not able to make the decisions to improve the lives of the societies. They are fighting on the ideology battlefields. They are fighting for this 9th or 11th generation of human rights. They are fighting with the ghosts that do not exist, but they are not able to deliver to their people. This is one of the reasons why you might be fan of him or no, but Boris Johnson lost a huge majority during last elections because he was able to deliver, get the things done. This is one of the reasons why Law and Justice that I represent is winning bigly in the elections. Hard times ahead of us. I don't know if we win the next one, but we still have like 37% in polls, so it's not looking that bad in terms of crisis. But the conservative leaders are usually the strong ones, so this is why I think this is one of the reasons behind the victory of Giorgia Meloni in Italy. This is one of the reasons behind the victory of the right-wing conservative liberal bloc in Sweden, which hasn't been seen in decades, almost 100 years. So this is also time for Croatia and for other countries, and you as the future of this country, as leaders of the right wing of the conservative movement. And one of the things that I mentioned it to some of my colleagues during the dinner, but one of the most important things that you need to do, besides organizing debates, organizing events like that where you can learn, but one of the most important things is to go and ask for a vote to the people who usually don't vote. They are not in the cities, not in the big cities at least. They are usually in the rural areas, in small villages, and nobody was there asking them for their votes for over decades. And I told a story that in 2015 there were presidential elections in Poland and we elect our president directly. So these are the toughest elections that you can have, because you don't need 38% and then you can pick a coalition partner and somebody else and govern the country. You need 50% plus one. And in 2015, the Civic Platform, well, they were a little bit on demise, but they had a president, and the president was running for re-election, and our candidate was back then Andrzej Duda, right now for the second term president of Poland. And I was traveling with a friend of mine to the north of Warsaw. I hate campaigns in Warsaw. I always run to north or southern parts of Mazovia district. And we were just driving to the north, and my friend, he's right now Deputy Minister of Interior, he took a rough turn right. I was like, hey, what are you doing? Where are we going? And he was like, I don't know, we'll see. And we were driving through villages more and more far. I don't know even where I am because the GPS is not working anymore. And there was a church, a small village of probably 100, 150 people. And there was a church, it had a nice fence. And we like, okay, so let's put a presidential banner on this fence. But I'm saying, no, look, there is a shop nearby and it has its own fence. The priest would have allowed us to hang this banner, but we don't want people like, okay, the church is getting involved in politics, maybe he will get in problem. So we were going to this shop, wooden shop, probably built before the Second World War. And there's like a lady that probably remembers Napoleon times. Very old lady, and you know, she's selling everything in this so-called shop. And we asked her, hello, we are from Warsaw, from the headquarters of the presidential campaign of Andrzej Duda. Can we hang the banner on your fence? And she was like, what's the banner? And we're like, okay, so this is the banner, you know, it's like 2 meters, 1 meter, and you know, it's nice, it has a photo of our candidate. And it was like, she started crying. And you know, two guys, big guys, not terms in that we are influential, we are like big guys, you can see that. Well, not behind this palm, but, you know, we didn't know what to do. She started crying, and I was like, I don't know, she hates us so much that she started crying, she loves us so much, and she started like, I'm praying every evening for this guy. I listen to, there is a conservative radio station called Radio Maria, she listens to it every evening, and she started crying, because for the first time since the communist times, she was speaking about 70s, anyone came to ask for a vote. Nobody was there. Well, besides the people who are running for the commune council or guy running for a mayorship. But nobody from Warsaw has came or any other place to ask for a vote for a president. She never voted in the presidential elections before. Because she said that, well, I can't do it, it's too far. So we organized, well, she called her daughter, we organized that she and her neighbors will go to vote. And the turnout in the previous elections, presidential elections in 2010, over there was around 32–33%. In the first voting round, it increased in 2015 to 62%, and 73% of votes went for our candidate. In the second voting round, more than 90%. And I know this is like adding 30–40 votes altogether. Maybe it's not big enough in terms of presidential elections, but it is something. And it happened to our party across the country. We were going and asking for a vote to the people that never voted before. Maybe not never, but for 20 years they are not voting. They are conservatives. They share the same values as you do. They want to defend the family, they want to have a strong state, they want the corruption to be out of the government. They will use the arguments as usually people do. Oh, all the politicians are thieves, they are stealing our money, they are corrupted crooks. And in some ways, yes, politicians deliver the reasons why people don't go to vote. But if you go and ask and say like, okay, but our guy, it's not about promising. You will see, he will deliver. And he wants you to go and vote. If you will be disappointed, don't vote for the end of your life, to the end of your life. But we are asking you humbly, and we can organize someone to get you to the polling station, put your ballot in, and vote for us. It will give the results. It happened the same with the Brexit referendum. I'm not taking sides whether UK should leave or not the European Union. I don't want to interfere in UK matters. But the thing is that the Brexiteers went out and asked people to vote in smaller cities, villages. This is how they get also votes to deliver their message. Whether it is right or wrong, not my place to judge. But you have to go and ask for the vote to the people who haven't voted because they lost their faith in the politicians. And to bring back this faith is also your task. So I think that event here, the school here, has given you, not will give you, it's closing speech. Rob always remind me this is closing speech. The school gave you the tools to be able to go, persuade the people to go to vote, to persuade them that conservative way, that your way is the best way for your country. Because these are tough times, and tough times require strong leaders. And the strong leaders aren't there on the left. They are not on the liberal side. They are on our side. And they are the ones who will be able to deliver as you will. It was really a pleasure to be here. It's my second time in Split. It's always enjoyable here. Last time I was here, it was July, so the weather was a little bit different, I might say. But it's always a pleasure to come to Croatia. I wish you best of luck. And I wish best of luck to all of the conservative movement. And as we are always in European Young Conservative raising a toast, I will not be raising a toast, don't worry. Rob, this won't be on the cameras. But I would like to end this speech with the toast that we usually used to use in the European Young Conservatives: for freedom. Thank you.